The 511 Tactical Camp and Field Axe from the Peacemaker series. You guys saw me go into 511 and buy this. Well, in this video, I test the hell out of it. I throw it hard, I throw it for distance. Stick around for the rest of the video because I'm gonna show you guys what I can do with it and what you could do with it too. You might think this axe looks a little weird, maybe even funky, but I'll tell you this, not only is this thing awesome, but it also performs too. Now every axe has its pros and cons. I've talked about that in every video that I've done. And we'll talk about the pros first, and then we'll get to the cons and how well this thing performed. But I will say this, I told you guys in the first impressions and unboxing that the cheek and bit design wasn't the greatest. It had a very hard manufacturer's grind, but I did appreciate the cheeks on it because it mimicked a work axe. I can see where they would call this a camp and field axe because it has the cheeks for that type of axe. Whether you were going to use it for chopping or you're going to use it to go camping with, that's the type of axe you're going to get out of the box. Now, when I first threw this before I reprofiled the cheek and edge design, I was getting a lot of stick into the target and then bounce out. It would not penetrate the way that I wanted it to. But after I thinned the cheeks just a little bit and really reprofiled this cutting edge, man, this thing was hitting hard and it was sinking really deep into the target. Now, I think if you wanted to use this as both, you can. You can throw it, you can chop with it, you could do all kinds of things with this camp axe. You would just need to reprofile that cheek and edge design like I did to get a better sticking profile. Overall experience throwing this thing was really nice, guys. It was. I had a great time throwing it at a single rotation. Of course, I was able to throw it hard, being accurate into the target. It released nicely out of the hand. That was one thing that I really enjoyed about the Camp and Field Axe by 511 Tactical, is that it felt seamless. And I've said that about other axes before, but it really did. Felt really good out of the hand. I didn't have any issues getting it to rotate over, and it just wanted to smash. It really did. It was actually smashing, and then I'd take it out and I could hear Dave in the background saying, I think it's asking to be smashed some more.
It said something like, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
I don't think you actually heard that, but any help you provide to the channel, Dave, I'll take it. As you guys know, I do a weight test to see if it's gonna wobble in the air, to see where the weight's distributed on it, and to see how well I can kind of guess if it's gonna perform or not before I even use the axe, hatchet, or tomahawk that I'm doing a review on. And that was pretty accurate. When I gave my first impressions and unboxing opinion, is that I said that I thought this thing was gonna fly really well at a single rotation, and it did that. It performed just like any other axe that I would expect it to, smashing the target, throw hard, even throwing trick throws, guys, back spinning throws, sideways throws. And I will say that it does have a little heft to it. You wouldn't think it does, but it does. But I love it because it smashes into the target when it hits. As you can see here, it's got some thickness to it. It is not a thin steeled axe. So I don't think you'll have to worry about this thing breaking anytime soon. I didn't notice anything shaking when it hit the target or wobbling or anything that gave me an impression that this thing would fall apart. It was great for a single rotation. Not only was I right about the single rotations, but I also went back to double, triple, and I even went back to 4 rotations. And I'll tell you guys this, my initial impressions and my assumptions on this when I said that I think it would fly really well back there, but we might get a little wobble, was extremely accurate. I had no issues throwing this thing at distance. It flew really nicely in the air. It released out of the hand really nice. I really didn't notice much of a difference at a single rotation going back to a quadruple, and that's where I'll say I really enjoy the Camp and Field Axe by 511 Tactical, is that there was no difference in the way that I threw the axe or how it felt coming out of the air or how I saw it rotating in the air, whether it was at a single rotation or a quadruple rotation. And that's the kind of axes, hatchets, and tomahawks that I really enjoy throwing. The ones that'll rotate the same no matter where you are, no matter how you throw it, it's gonna perform every single time. And that's what I got out of the Camp and Field Axe. It just performs so nicely in the air. It really did. Throwing it at a quadruple rotations quite a few times. I mean, we were smashing all the way back there, no issues at all. And of course, you've probably already seen it, but if you haven't, I'll throw it in now of me running around and throwing this thing crazy, being able to kind of do a 360 spin and throw into the target. Every throw that I could think of that day, I was able to do. I really didn't struggle with any throws with this. And I will say the weight helps it at distance. Sometimes you'll get some of these lighter axes, hatchets, and tomahawks where you throw them for distance and they're not smashing or not going to the target really hard or deep. And when you add weight to these things, it'll help the cutting edge going to the target from distance because you may not be throwing it as hard. And that's one thing that I'll say about this axe that helped penetration was the weight. It really did a great job. And as you can see here on the back, I redesigned the spike. It didn't come like this. Now the edge down here is not very sharp and neither is this edge, but the point is, I designed it for smashing and for axe throwing. And as you can see here, it's still got an edge on it and it's still really sharp. Now I designed it in a way, if you look at it here, to where it kind of rolls its edge back towards the axe head. That's so if you throw it with an over rotation, this edge right here will help it into the target. I see a lot of axes that have spikes on them. They have these really fat edges right in here, which doesn't help the edge go into the target. So I like to kind of swoop my edge back toward the axe head so that way it rolls in. And that's exactly what I got with the Camp and Field Axe by 511 Tactical, was that nice smash with this spike. And I even took it over here to log and smashed on it too. And the edge still held, and so did the point on the back of the spike. So there's that, guys. This thing can do it all, really.
That's great, but with any axe there are cons. So don't pretend this axe is perfect.
Yeah, I'm getting to it, Dave. As with any axe, hatchet, or tomahawk, guys, there's always cons. And the biggest con that I found with the 511 Tactical Camp and Field Axe was the grip panels. Didn't care for them. They're way too slick, and I did not care for the way that it feels in the hand when you grip it. As you can see here, I had to wrap mine with some type of tape. I don't even remember what tape I used, but I put tape on here to kind of build it up to give it a better circumference. That was the other thing I didn't care for, was the circumference. The circumference on this is a little odd. It's long from top to bottom, but very narrow from left to right. So it leaves a kind of a weird feeling in your hand. But I was able to remedy it with like $7 grip tape, and then once I put it on there, it felt really good. But I will say, without this grip tape, it felt weird in the hand, and it wanted to sail out of my hand when I didn't want to, because these grip panels are just so slick. So that was the first thing that I noticed. The second thing was the spike. You know, if you want to use the spike the way it comes, I get for like smashing and digging or prying or whatever, that's great. But for me, I'm going to utilize the spike more for axe throwing and for smashing things and sticking the spike. So, you know, that could be just a personal thing for me, maybe not a con on the axe, but a con in my opinion for my review. So I, you know, redesigned the spike. Other than that, maybe the bit, hard manufacturer's grind, but I'm trying here, guys. I really am. Edge retention. Guys, listen to this. It's still really sharp. It held its edge nicely. I got no edge rollover, no chipping, no nothing, and we were out here throwing for almost 4 hours, well over 100 throws with it. So I will say the steel quality on this not only is great if you want to smash this axe around, because I did, but the edge retention on this thing is awesome too. I don't know how you could pass this up, to be honest with you. I don't. I know it's pricey at around $200, but I'll say this. If you wanted something that you could take camping with you, you could use for axe throwing, field work, whatever, check out the 511 Tactical Camp and Field Axe. I don't think you could go wrong with it. I like the design, even though it looks a little odd. It performs. You do get a prying tool where you put your hand up here like this, stick this in here and pry it. I don't know about that. I feel like it's a little small. I'd probably just use this for glass breaking, but this thing gives you a lot that other axes in its price range doesn't. So you have to consider that too. Now I know it's kind of pricey, and someone's gonna say, well, there's better axes out there that are cheaper. Well, yeah, there are, and I'm not gonna lie. But I will say this thing is no slouch. I wouldn't look past it. If you're looking for a tactical or camp axe or something that does everything, I think this will bring it to you, not only with the cheek and bit design, but with also the weight and how you could utilize it in a lot of different ways. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the Camping Field Axe, or let me know what your opinion is on 511, some of their gear. If you haven't seen the video, go back and check it out where we go through the 511 store and I show you guys everything inside 511 when I bought this. I appreciate everything everybody does to make this channel what it is. Appreciate all the support. Until next time, see ya. And remember, it's always for the love of the axes, hatchets, and tomahawks.
Exciting news. We started another YouTube channel for our lives and other content. We will unveil it soon.